Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today, I would like to show you an unusual way to either texture or make kind of a vintage look on your paint with tinfoil, of all things. My son and I were talking, and he said that he paints those little miniatures for a game that he does. And so he was talking about it, and he said that a lot of people from the research he did use tinfoil to make different textures. And so I thought I'd give it a try, and it came out kind of unique. I don't know if you can see 100% the different, I did a couple different textures on this, but we will show you here how to do that. So I went ahead and I stained this board so that if you were going to be doing this on like a piece of furniture, you would know how this would look. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint on some paint, and I'm using DIY's Vintage Linen. And I'm using one of the new brushes, which are quite lovely. And I found that you get different results depending whether you do the foil treatment when the paint is very wet, like freshly wet, or if you give it a few minutes. Like the DIY paint usually dries pretty quick, and so do a lot of the chalk paints. And so just give it a couple minutes to kind of set up a little bit. It gives you a different texture. All right. So I'm gonna I probably should have put tape on this to do different sections. So first I'm going to do a wadded up piece of foil, and this is with it being wet still. But basically what it does is it takes up some of the paint. It pulls it up. So it gives you these kind of interesting lines. Now, if you wanted it to give you more of a raised texture like this, I would put a little bit heavier of a coat of paint. And you could also do some of the paint with the paint frosting mixed in, and that would give you some really heavy body texture, or paint body, and then it would lift up probably even more peaks and valleys. But you can see it raised it. It raises it up. I'm hoping you can see that. So on this one, I had just painted it the ivory color, and then on the second coat, this is with it drying a little bit, and it gives you this texture. This is with it wet, like wet and a good amount of paint on the board. So I painted it the first coat, and then I put a second coat, and then I lifted it while it was still wet. But you can see here, one gives you peaks and valleys. One kind of gives you just a kind of a speckledy look. And then I'll do this bottom part just so that there's a difference. Actually, I'm going to paint, I'll paint the whole thing here. I'll let this 1/4 of it dry a little bit. It's kind of a fun way to get a different technique, a different look on your paint. You could do it either one of these, like in the corner of a drawer, just to give it a little texture. You could do it on, you know, if you're wanting a little texture on like an art piece that you're doing. but you don't want it all over. You could just do the corners. So this one, I'm going to use a flat sheet, and I crinkled it up, so you get some lines. Now you could probably get pretty creative with it too, and do like folds in it, before you crinkle it up, or you could do the folds with it crinkled up. But you're going to get different effects with different things that you're going to do. Let's give that a try. Let's just see what happens here with the lines. So I'm just kind of pushing down and lift. And it doesn't do much there, but it is kind of a cool effect, almost as if when old paint starts aging and you get those cracks, kind of gives it that feel, which is that's actually a cool look. Okay. So now I'm going to flatten it, and then I'll do this just in this, because I want that to dry a little bit. I'm just lightly pushing down. And that makes a way cool effect. That definitely looks like kind of old, funky paint right in there. How it, either it's got affected by heat or just age. It kind of does a crackly, weird, funky finish. And that is definitely doing that. So that's definitely a fun. And I'm just going to let this side dry just a smidge. Maybe I'll hit it here with the hairdryer. That's still pretty, a little bit wet. Let's do it real quick. And let's see, I think I'm gonna, this is the one I was playing with the green. So you get similar effects, but yet different effects, depending on, this one is definitely raised. This one is more kind of circular lift off. This one's a combination of kind of, it's pulling some of the paint back, but it's also giving you a little bit of highs and lows. This one, I think right here is really my favorite. I'm hoping that by turning this like this, you can see it. But I'm going to go ahead and dry this, and then we'll put a little wax on it and put some either dark and decrepit or the dust, or we'll put some dark wax, one of the two, so that it'll show you a little bit better what it's going to look like. So I've got a coat of wax on these two boards. I'm going to go ahead and do both of them just so you can see the difference of, like, if you were to do this on raw wood, or not raw wood, but like a furniture piece without putting 2 coats of paint on it versus, if you have a couple layers of paint. And then we'll do, I think we'll do the dust to start with. Finally, I like to just put the dust right onto the surface I'm working on. It's a little much on the dust. We're just gonna now, if this is too dark for you, you can rub it back. That's why, one of the reasons why you'd put down the clear wax first, so it gives it something to grab onto. But also, if you say, oh, no, that is not what I want it to look like, you can take a paper towel and you can wipe it back. But it definitely shows you what this is going to look like, which is, I think, a fun effect. I can do a little bit of the wax, just so you can see the difference. The wax is, this is the dark wax from DIY, and it is a little darker to work with than the powder. But once again, it shows you the details of that, which is way cool effect. So I'm going to go ahead and I think do dust, just because I like the kind of lighter brown myself. Thought I'd try one of these brushes for putting on the powder, but I think honestly I like my regular brush better. And it looks sad, but and it's got a little bit of the dark wax on it still. Let's wipe some of that back. All right, let's get this corner a little bit. So this corner here, where I put folds into the foil, it is very subtle. You can see it's just kind of a barely there effect. I actually think I like this the best, where it was kind of a thick coat of paint and then rolled it off when it was still wet. I think I like this the best now that I've got the dark on it, but this is kind of cool too. But it all gives, depending on what you're wanting, just kind of fun effects. And you don't have to do this all over on whatever piece you're working on. You can just do corners. You can just do little bits and pieces so it looks organic. But I like that. Let's try now with the paint. And I've already waxed this one also with the clear. And this one has the white underneath, and then I put the green over the top so that the white would come through. With the powder, you just kind of work it in there. And you go every which direction so you kind of get it worked in. Once again, way cool. Set this down so I can actually rub it back. With the green, it is really looking very old-fashioned, very vintage, very antique-y. But very awesome effects. This once again was with one coat of paint and then a thick coat, letting that dry, and then a second coat thick, and then pulling it up with the wadded up tinfoil. This was letting it dry a little bit and then doing a lift with it. On this side, it was just doing lifts, taking the tinfoil. This was a little lighter. This was a little heavier, of just using the rounded tinfoil and lifting the paint off. But anyway, it's a fun effect, and if you try it, shoot me a picture. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to see how it turned out for you. If you have any questions about any of the products I used today, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye.